movies made us do it. Me and Matt are back. How are you, Matt?
Not so bad. Yourself, sir?
I am doing good. Yes, doing good. I'm allowed out in the sun again now, which is nice.
This is supposedly my last day of isolation.
Yeah, so you've been in isolation with that virus. I think YouTube doesn't like you mentioning
with the beer bug.
yeah. And obviously I've had this skin issue which is now resolved, but the ointment I was using meant I couldn't go out in the sun. So
you could finally go out in daylight.
I can, yeah. I've been living like a vampire
without exploding.
I've been like, I could go out, like I was going to my fiance's and stuff, but it's like I had to dress like the Invisible Man, you know. It was like like a bandana over most of my face, sunglasses.
I just got a vision of you dressed like oh god, what's his name from Island Dr. Moreau?
Oh yes,
with
a
bucket on your head.
Yeah. Well, it was one of those things. Like I said to Paula the other day, like I thought the first time I went out like it, I was like, oh god, like people are gonna look at me like I'm such a twat, and I was kind of glad that the pandemic's going on, because I was like, well, at least it's not like weird to see people wearing a mask, so there is that much. But I got to Paula's and I was like, oh no, it's fine. People don't look at me like I'm weird. They look at me like I'm gonna fucking murder them. So like, because it just looks really intimidating. I was like, okay, it's fine. I can live with that. That's better than people laughing at me. People looking terrified.
Get out of the way. That's great. It's fine.
Yeah, exactly. So plenty of time for both of us to watch movies and all that good stuff. So do you wanna kick us off?
Should we start with Army of the Dead, because it's been out for a while now? And
yes, let's start with Netflix Army of the Dead. Is it like, I feel like now every single movie that Zack Snyder makes has got like, it's called Zack Snyder's. So it's like Zack Snyder's Army of the Dead now. Ever since Justice League, like every movie he does is going to be called Zack Snyder's Army of the Dead. So yes,
I'm not sure that's a good thing.
I'm not sure it's a good thing.
Don't get me wrong, I love Zack Snyder. I actually, I'm one of the few people that genuinely loves his style.
I think he's a great visual director.
I like most of his movies.
Yeah,
but when it sounds like that, it sounds more like an insult than a good thing. I don't know why. It just sounds more like an insult than a
no. I agree.
A great thing.
I think it does. So, directed obviously by Zack Snyder's Army of the Dead is directed by Zack Snyder. And starring Dave Bautista, Ella Purnell, and a bunch of other people who I forget.
Let's see, Nora. Oh dear me, Aran Zeder, Hiroyuki Sanada.
Of course, yes.
Garrett Dullaher, Tig Narato. Tig Narato I must admit, I was very impressed, considering the fact that she actually isn't there for most of her shots. She was a replacement.
Oh, so really? Green screened her in.
There was a guy that I forget who it was, but I think he came under some sort of flack.
Oh, okay.
So I think he might have been a bit of a naughty boy. So I think they got rid of him, and they got Tig in.
The wonders of modern technology, huh?
Yeah, as a replacement, and I thought she was brilliant.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I guess what were your thoughts? We'll start with your thoughts.
Well. So I liked the majority of the characters. I thought Dave Bautista was brilliant. I thought he was really, really good. I mean, he didn't exactly do it's not a lot of stretching or anything. It's kind of just your average, movie.
Generic meathead,
movie.
really.
Yeah, it's
I mean,
generic meathead. He had some sort of like little touching moments that Zack Snyder, I think, does a very good job of these beginning things. You know, the beginning sort of like end of humanity sort of thing. Or well, not so much humanity, but the end of Vegas, because it's not actually connected to the other Dead movies, which is I find weird. But okay.
I mean, I guess it could be, but it's not explicitly stated to be.
Well, I think he has said that it's not.
I don't think it fits tonally, to be honest, with Dawn of the Dead.
But I love the way he does those sort of like sort of beginning montages, because he did the same sort of thing with Watchmen, and he did a similar thing with the last Dead movie as well.
He did it with Justice League as well.
Yeah, and he did it with Justice League. So I like those things.
Mm-hmm.
It's a very good visual way of showing.
Well, as I said, he for all of his faults, I do think he's a good visual director. And that, you're right. Those kind of moments kind of show. Those are the moments where he shines.
Yeah.
Yeah. So. I didn't like this film very much at all. If I'm honest, no. No. But there are moments. It's not all bad. I don't want to make out like it's all bad.
I think I probably enjoyed it more than you did then,
sure.
Because I actually thought it's not a good movie.
No,
but it was I thought a thoroughly enjoyable one.
Mm-hmm. I think it depends on your mood, doesn't it? As well, a lot of the time. Yeah. I think it might have been my mood going. I mean, I will be completely honest with you. I watched about 20 minutes of it and stopped bothering to watch anymore. And I thought, it was on a Sunday, and I was like, do you know what? I cannot be fucked to watch this. And I thought I will. I was like, well, I know I've got to watch it because we've got the Movies Made Us Do It coming up. So I was like, I'll watch it later in the week. I can't be bothered to waste my Sunday evening on this, so I ended up watching Alien instead. And then, of course, you were ill, so then I was like, well, that's another week where I don't have to watch it. And then I put it off until last night when I watched another movie as well. And I was like, oh, I guess I should really watch this movie. And it wasn't... in some ways it was worse, in some ways it wasn't as bad as I was expecting. So it's kind of a mixed bag. But
right.
Yeah. So yeah, go for it. So you enjoyed it obviously more than I did. I agree with you with Dave Bautista.
I like Bautista. I quite like the sort of setup idea. I like the idea that this guy, completely full on bullshit. You know that from the second that Sanada turns up that he's bullshit. You know that it's not what they're setting up to.
Sanada's another.
There's
Sanada,
no
along with Dave Bautista, Sanada's another actor. This fucking lost on this movie. It's like, you're too talented to be in this film.
Although,
seriously.
This movie gets fucking full on props from me for getting Hiroyuki Sanada to say easy peasy Japanese.
Yes.
He gets full fucking price for getting that. That was, I thought, hilarious.
Yeah. I especially liked the millennial afterwards being like, excuse me, you can't say that anymore. That's offensive.
He can. He can. He's Japanese. And I mean, fucking Garrett Dillahunt's character is like, well, he's obviously gonna fucking fuck him over as any chance.
Clearly the bad guy. Yes.
Yeah, exactly. So there's a lot of completely badly telegraphed sort of stuff.
Well, I mean, one of the worst I thought was that, like, just even the opening, the opening of some guy getting a blowjob whilst driving on a long straight road at night, flat desert at night, driving. And the army guys look away for a second, and all of a sudden, this car's snuck up on them, like in the desert at night, on a straight long road coming out of Vegas.
The funny thing is, I did say to my wife at that point that when she started giving
hell of a blowjob, right, to make you not even look at the road anymore.
But I did say, well, at least they're quite lucky in that sort of area of Nevada.
Because there's
the roads don't turn. So.
yeah.
But you know what was going to happen. Yeah, you did.
I mean, they would have seen the lights from that car, like, fucking miles away.
Yeah, they would have absolutely. And I mean, Jesus Christ, the other thing is, what the fuck was that car made of?
I know, it obliterated a heavily armored truck.
Loaded.
Yeah, completely obliterated it. But to the setup, I would say one of the biggest strengths of this movie, and one of the things I completely agree with you, is the setup. For me, I have personally always found, as much as I love zombie movies, I love me some George Romero zombie movies especially, certainly the first three, I've always found the idea of a zombie outbreak becoming a worldwide epidemic to be kind of ridiculous. Because especially the slow zombies, even the fast ones, but the slow zombies, you're like, Zombies are pretty slow, and if there's one thing the military are very good at, it is shooting things. I don't see a zombie epidemic getting very big at all before the military just come in, wipe them out, and problem solved.
You'd like to think so, but
I would.
You'd also sort of think, well, maybe if it happens so quickly,
it would have to be something on a scale like it's in the water everywhere, and we didn't notice. But when it's like an outbreak of like, oh, it was a chemical spill, and then that caused the zombies, and they bit people, you're like, that's not getting out of that town or city. That's just not going anywhere. And one thing this movie did do, which I was like, props. Yes, it would have been contained or dealt with.
They contained it to Vegas.
Instantly had props for that, and I liked the idea that you know, they were walled in, and. I guess the idea was probably that the military were like, we're just going to bomb it immediately. But then, of course, public outcry and human rights and, are they still alive?
Yeah.
Are they still, do they deserve to continue living? And the families and stuff. And you think, this is probably quite a, as ludicrous as the idea of zombies is, this is quite a realistic reaction. They've walled in, but then the public outcry... The families of those people in there will not allow them to be bombed, and it's then become this big political issue, and it's just sat there in Vegas, and they're just sat there. So I liked that. I thought that setup was cool.
Mm-hmm.
And I love the idea. I mean, I like heist movies. I really do. So I like the idea of a zombie heist movie. I felt like they didn't really do a lot with it, unfortunately.
No.
The best scene of the movie is when they send the zombie down the corridor to set off all the traps. I was like, that's great. That's like more of that. More of the heist stuff with a zombie.
I did also think, so they got the corridor, and they've got the pressure pads.
Yeah.
And they decide to send a zombie down. And you think, just chuck a big bag on it.
But I guess they didn't know that it was pressure plates, and they didn't know where the things were coming from. They knew there was something there, but they didn't know what. Because they were just told it was a non-lethal. That is true. But then, I think Dieter established that there was a pressure pad on the floor. I guess they established that there was one. But I guess the benefit of the zombie is that it just kept going, and it made for a good gag. I did laugh when he got crushed at the end. I laughed at that. That was quite. That was quite funny.
But it did seem like the. I mean, there's one bit in particular with the crew where we are spoiling, are we?
It's been a couple of weeks. Well, we'll give a spoiler warning now and say overall I wasn't keen on it. If you've got Netflix, you might as well watch it. It's a long 2.5 fucking hours.
It is too
Zack
long.
Snyder loves his long movies, and usually I don't have a problem with that. Here, this could have been like a 90-minute movie, and it would have been fine.
Yeah, it could have been easily lost half an hour.
Yeah.
However, I would say there's a I'll get there, but
you liked it overall.
I mostly enjoyed it. I actually, the thing is, I liked a lot of the weird sort of unanswered questions.
Sure. Yeah.
I didn't notice it at first. I watched somebody's review of it.
Let's wait 1 second. So spoilers now, from now.
Yeah, spoilers now.
Because I think this theory, someone told me this yesterday when I was kind of messaging them about this movie. So
didn't notice the two lights in the sky at the very beginning.
I didn't. I can't say that I noticed that.
So you get two lights at the very beginning that zoom off towards the camera,
right?
As they're leaving Area 51.
Mm-hmm.
And the other things I don't know whether you noticed was, did you notice the robots?
No.
Wow. So
there were robots. I didn't.
Yeah,
notice
there were robots. Did you not notice a couple of times when they shoot the zombies, their heads explode in blue mist and they spark?
Oh, I just thought that was the alienness.
No. There's a couple in particular as well when they're in the casino. They have blue eyes. They've got glowing blue eyes.
So again, I just assumed, aliens, because it's an alien thing, right? They've kind of made out these aliens.
When they're...
In fact, by the way, this movie is a fucking rip-off of Aliens. That's another thing that pissed me off several times. But anyway, sorry, go on. I didn't notice this as such.
There's another one. There's one in one of the corridors that they shoot and its head explodes. Proper sparking, and then there's one in the casino when they're on the casino floor, and they shoot him in the face, and you can see the skull is full on steel.
Right.
So there's a lot of weird sort of stuff that is like, well, that's obviously questions that are going to get answered.
So someone raised with me the one they meet themselves at one point. Like there's like dead bodies and they're all wearing exactly what they were wearing. That was kind of weird.
Yeah, there's that speech that Gunter gives about like alternative universes and stuff, and was it actually no? It wasn't. It's not Gunter that gives the speech, is it? It's the other guy, the big.
It's one of the other.
Dude, I can't remember what his name is.
Characters.
One of the big.
But he said about it being stuck in a loop and stuff.
Yeah, and they're talking about that, and he's also talking about the fact that the safe is called the Nibelunga from the ring cycle.
Yes. And
also they bring up all the stuff about the ring cycle and stuff, and it's like, and at the very end when the big black dude comes out of the thing.
Yes.
Well, it's also suggested that he might have come up in an alternate world.
Well, I would hope so, because otherwise he died of fucking radiation poisoning before he left the fucking city limits.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, sure. Also, his zombie bite just took forever. Everyone else got immediately turned into zombies.
He's the new alpha, isn't he?
Right.
So he's in the next movie. He's going to be
the big dude,
the big boss. Yeah,
fair enough.
So I think there was a lot of sort of nice little sort of questions and things that I thought were interesting.
Assuming they do something with it, I have a horrible feeling that all of that is just bullshit that they won't ever fucking explain or talk about again.
Well, from what I can gather, they're doing a prequel cartoon with Gunther. Which I thought that's okay. I'm happy to watch that.
Oh, I love a good anime.
I liked his character as well. I thought his character was funny. And I'm pretty sure he's up for the second. They're doing a sequel, so
yeah. And there are a few characters. I forget her name. The blonde lady. Where you kind of
the coyote.
Yes, where you kind of it felt like, you know, you saw the zombie going for her, and the assumption is she got bitten, but it was weird to not see how she died and not see her get bitten properly. It was kind of like, we're just going to leave her there. It almost feels like in the sequel she's going to be an alpha, or she's going to be in some way or something. There were a few moments like that. I mean, the idea of this, like, oh, he's a super zombie, is like, really? Like, these guys are heavily armed, and this fucking super zombie's idea is to ride around on horseback topless. Like, okay, but I'm sure he'd last about 5 seconds.
What a fucking image, though.
I mean, it was a very cool image. It looks great, but they're like these like special forces guys with all of this equipment.
I know.
I'm like, they could have killed him the first time they saw him. And then he's smart because he's got a helmet, but he didn't think to give the helmet to his bride or to anyone else. Like, as well, and also his helmet doesn't stop him getting decapitated, which would seem to be the biggest problem the zombie would face. Weird, but fine.
The worst one for me was
when they
tiger. Sorry,
the fucking tiger.
No, I love the tiger.
The tiger acted like a tiger though, which was weird. Yeah. The tiger didn't act like a zombie.
No.
Like at one point, it's just bored and it just sits down and it's just chilled out, and you're like, it's not even a zombie. It's just a tiger.
Very manky tiger.
Yeah.
When they go into the first casino-y sort of thing, and then and the bad one, separates the girl who says, "Oh, I'm on to you." It's like, well, you're fucking dead, then, aren't you? You way to fucking out yourself, love. Great.
When Army of the Dead's Burke does the scene that Burke does.
Yes, when Army of the Dead's Burke does that scene, so she gets separated. There's a big explosions. There's lots of fighting and all that sort of stuff. Right, great, fine. She comes through the window into the corridor, and they all just kind of stand there watching her.
Yeah, it feels really awkward as well.
They don't help her.
Nope.
They don't fire at the zombies that are trying to kill her.
Yeah.
And not only that, she doesn't say, "That prick just totally burnt."
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
She doesn't say everybody watch the fucking Burke because he's just fucking
Clearly,
killed me.
yeah.
She doesn't even say that. They
No.
just stand there watching her get murdered, and she lets herself get murdered. And you think,
Yeah.
well, that was rubbish. That was the worst fucking part of the movie, definitely.
Yeah. Well, I thought that for me, like, the kind of biggest head scratcher was the premise. Well, actually, two things. Because there was one thing that I actually said, what the fuck, out loud when it happened. And I'll get to that in a moment. If probably you had the same reaction. In fact, let's cover that now.
Go on, then.
The fucking I love you moment. That literally come out of absolutely nowhere in the, like, last 20 minutes of the film. Someone suddenly, I'm in love with you, Dave Bautista. Just randomly, like, have shown no interest this entire movie. No, not whatsoever has there been any chemistry, any hint of anything. But suddenly now, the whole reason I came on this mission wasn't for the money. It's because I love you. I was like, what? You've not built this relationship. You've not shown this relationship. You've not hinted at this relationship. Mm-hmm. There was nothing. And then all of a sudden, they just shoved it in at the last minute. It's like, what?
And worse than that, she immediately dies.
Yeah,
immediately.
Yeah. So it was all for nothing anyway.
It's like, but the thing is, they're supposed to be hardened sort of, zombie veterans.
I mean, she is. She's a badass, like, the whole way through until that point.
Didn't even bother, like, watching the lift for potential zombies. They just let the zombie come in and twist her head round. It's like, it was such a sort of, like, I guess it's the point was that it's supposed to be like a terribly undignified death.
Sure.
But it was like, fuck you. That was just bullshit.
It felt cheap. Yeah.
Yeah, it felt really cheap.
So I had a problem with the overall premise, to be honest. The idea that, I mean, there's a couple of theories that are said during the movie. One is, the government will pay loads for the brain of the super zombie. And it's like, well, if the government want it, why are they nuking it? Just don't nuke it. Just send people in and get it. And then also it's like, well, if Sonada's character isn't working for the government, he's just in it for himself, but the zombie head's worth loads for him. Why didn't he just send the team in to get the zombie head and pay them instead of pretending that it's about a bank heist and sending them in to do that when in reality it had nothing to do with that? And like Dave Bautista would have probably gone in just as happily to get the zombie head if you just told him to and told him you'd give him a couple of million because you're clearly loaded. It's like the entire premise was kind of like, why is this even happening? It's like you've made it worse for yourself, Sonada. Like you've made this way harder than it needed to be.
Well, I suppose the idea is that he's already done that, though, hasn't he? He's already sent teams in, and none of them have come back. So I suppose.
Is it like, the heist team will distract the zombies while someone else does? Maybe, I guess. It's a bit like, it's pretty ropey though, to be honest. I was a bit like, you could have just sent Dave Bautista and team in to get the head. I don't really think it's that big of a deal. I also laughed at does Zack Snyder know what a no-fly zone is? I don't think he understands. They literally say, you can't fly in there because it's a no-fly zone, but you can fly out.
Yeah.
That's not how no-fly zones work, mate. And in fact, I'm pretty sure they would make damn sure that anything flying out of the zombie-infested city would definitely get shot down.
Yeah.
Like, sure. Oh my god, and when she fucking... I was instant messaging my friend saying, like, what the fuck is going on with this film? And I was like, if anyone survived that fucking helicopter crash, this film can fuck off. And she literally, she was thrown from the fucking helicopter and just gets up and dusts herself off. Like, okay, sure. She's fine.
Yeah, she had, like, no injuries.
None!
At all.
That helicopter barrel rolled across the floor and exploded. Yeah. It's like, what? Oh,
I mean,
dear.
They also, they didn't even, with the whole like, reason for going in was to get that woman back.
Yeah.
And they get her, she's in the helicopter, the helicopter crashes, and she gets out, but she doesn't even go to check on her friend.
No, she just checks on her dad.
She doesn't go back to the helicopter to see if she survived.
No.
And we don't even know whether she did or not. I mean, I presume she didn't.
Yeah, we know
I presume everybody else is just dead.
We know that the engineer from Discovery died because she's in the cockpit, right? But the rest, we don't know about her, the other girl. We never even see her, I don't think. After that, I mean, it's assumed she's dead, but
Yeah.
But I don't want to say like I hated all of it. I had fun. I did have fun.
I think
there were moments.
I did have fun, and there were some genuinely sort of funny moments in it, and
I think
I like quite a lot of the zombie shootout stuff.
Yeah, I mean the action again. He's a good visual director, so when there's action, it looks cool. It looks good.
Yeah, the fight through the casino and stuff I thought was really good. And
I think for me there just wasn't it. Just I think it was a neat premise, like having a heist during a zombie outbreak.
Yeah,
like all that. I just don't think it did enough with that premise. For me,
no, it was almost like they got to the sort of the heist thing, and then there's this sort of like long sort of drawn out moments where they're just stood around talking about nothing.
Yeah.
And it's I don't even think it adds to the movie. There's a couple of bits where like the speech and stuff, which were great, I thought, but. Overall, it's like, well, they don't. It feels like they don't actually know what to do.
Yeah, and you were talking about Zack Snyder being very good with the start of things going bad, and I almost feel like this movie would have been way more fun if it was a heist movie during the outbreak of the zombies. So, like, you know, they're doing the heist, and then during the heist, the zombie outbreak happened.
I think that would have been better.
That would have been a bit more interesting. Although I guess you don't get those great visuals that you get, obviously, from like the ruined Vegas and all of that stuff. But yeah, it's not awful, but it just wasn't. I had quite high hopes for this one. And it really didn't, for me, live up to that. Especially with the alien stuff. The aliens stuff got really annoying, especially at the end, where, you know, obviously in Aliens, Bishop takes the dropship because the platform's about to collapse, so he has to leave and come back. She just fucks off for no reason and then comes back again.
Yeah,
it's like what?
I did turn to my wife at that point. I said, well, they can fuck right off, can't they? And then if they're doing the fucking Bishop thing right now, they can fuck right
especially
off.
When there was no reason for it to happen.
The other one that I also made me fucking angry as well was the at the very beginning.
You don't see them fucking each other over thing.
Oh no, the two soldiers when in the initial after the car explosion and the zombies escaped and he's ploughing through the soldiers.
Oh yeah,
the two soldiers that run away. One of them falls over and the other one goes to pick him up. And then that fucking scene was just straight up lifted from fucking American Werewolf.
It was. I didn't even pick up on that, but now that you've said it, it was literally the Moors.
It was literally straight.
Even down to the laughing and the like, oh god damn it, you know, god damn it, David, and then getting attacked. It was literally that scene, you're right. The
scene was completely lifted out of the Moor scene.
It's weird. It is like he just took a bunch of movies that he liked and just kind of ripped them all off into one screenplay. It's bizarre. But it does have its moments, like I said. It does have its moments.
I would say overall, I did enjoy it. Because it was, it's stupid and it's badly written, and you know, some of the characters were just fucking awful.
I kind of feel like they could have a lot of them as well. They're especially like 2 or 3 of this team are pretty fucking strapping. And I kind of feel like they probably could have just fucking walked out with bags of money and not bothered with the helicopter at all.
I thought that as well, but you know,
especially Batista, I'm pretty sure he could take a couple of bags on his back. You know, I don't think he'd have much problem.
Yeah,
but yeah, it's not terrible. I'm interested to see, like you said, these kind of almost at this point baity feeling, like bullshitty cryptic things. If they come out and do something with it, it could be interesting. It's an interesting idea. I'm definitely up for seeing the anime because that's a prequel as well, isn't it? Which I think is a bit more interesting actually. Because that was the thing as well. The opening credits, as great as they are, is like, this feels like a better movie. Like it feels like the credits are a better film than it feels like we've missed the best film in the credits. You know.
Well, maybe they'll do that. I don't know.
Hopefully,
but,
yeah.
Because the thing is if you're doing the prequel, everybody comes back, don't they? So
yes, I would assume so.
You know, so you get Baptista back, you get Anna Raya, I think her name was. You get her back and everything, and yeah, I mean, it would be that's interesting because like like you said, the little sort of shots you get of him running around saving people and running through the buildings. So that was real fun. That was a really cool.
Yeah, and I'm kind of interested in the logistics of them trying to wall in Vegas and keep the zombies at bay and stuff. There are some interesting things there that I'd like to see. But yeah, so overall, I didn't think it was particularly good, but I didn't think it was absolutely awful. I'm not going to say it was absolutely awful. And you felt, you obviously had
enjoyed it.
better time than I did.
I enjoyed it more than you did. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot wrong with it. It's not a great movie in any shape or form. But I think if you're up for a pretty visually good, well done zombie movie, then yeah, I think you could go worse.
Oh,
than
you
this,
could definitely do worse. Yeah,
there's plenty of zombie movies that are just utter shit.
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
And
this
I
one's
don't
certainly
think
got a
this is utter
style.
shit.
No,
yeah, and it's kind of worth it just for Baptiste and some of the other guys. So
yeah,
it's fun. It's fun enough that I think it'll keep you entertained. I think it might be a good idea to watch it in 2 sittings, maybe, because it is fucking long.
It was so needlessly long.
I think they could have. I mean, when they get to the heist thing, they could have cut out a good half an hour there.
For sure.
I mean, I actually think they could have done better with that. They could have, when they got the money, I think coming out would have been could have been done so much better.
Yeah. You almost want them to kind of get in, get the money, and then have it all kick off on the way out. Kind of have the most of the movie them escaping rather than.
I think that would have been a much more interesting.
Or giving them something to do, because there's that moment in the movie where he's like, where the safecracker's like, I need half an hour of silence.
Yeah.
And it's like, could we have things going on during that half an hour somewhere that makes things a bit more interesting?
Yeah, no, but they didn't.
No. So, well, what else have you watched?
So let's go with let's go with the Mitchells versus the Machines.
Now this looks quite fun.
So this is a Netflix. Well, it's on Netflix. It's on Netflix movie, and it's a cartoon. And it is about a family called the Mitchells, obviously, voiced by Danny McBride, Maya Randolph, Abby Jacobson. And basically, they're a very odd, sort of messed up family who, the daughter's kind of the main character, and she's this sort of like quirky, wants to go to film school. She makes all these weird memes and stuff, and her dad is Mr. sort of like outdoors practical guy. Yeah. Who obviously. It's your typical sort of they had such a great relationship when she was little, and now they don't understand each other, and now that they're at odds and all that sort of stuff. And meanwhile, this is going on. Mark sort of Zuckerbergy type character has got. He's introducing his new product,
right?
Which is these robots, and he's got this system called PAL, which is kind of like Siri, voiced by Olivia Colman, and he sort of talks to her, and he basically says to her that she's been superseded by the new robots, and she's going to get dumped. So PAL is not having any of this. And Pal decides to take over all the robots, and she is going to box up all the humans, and she's going to basically fire them into space.
Okay.
So what you then get is the Mitchells, who are they're on a road trip to take the daughter to the college, and they basically they end up. Being the only people left that haven't been sort of boxed, as it were,
right? And
that it's up to them to sort of obviously sort of save the universe. Mm-hmm. So I will say there was a lot of fun in this movie.
It looks fun.
There was some genuinely funny stuff. There's some great stuff with the dog. They have this incredibly ugly sort of pug dog
Yeah.
which the daughter uses in a lot of her movies and things.
Right.
And the robots there's an ongoing joke about the robots not being able to tell whether it's a dog or a pig.
Okay.
And having meltdowns, which is incredibly funny. I thought the actual designs were hideous. I don't like the style of animation very much. I didn't like the main character designs. This movie is way too fucking long.
Oh, really?
It's an hour and 53 minutes.
Okay.
That is way too long. When it gets towards the end, it's almost like they didn't quite know how to finish it. It's almost got like 3 false endings. And you think, okay, is that it now? Are we done? No? Oh, fuck, we're still going. It was enjoyable enough, and I think kids will really love it. Some of the visuals, there is a lot of these sort of like memey visuals that she uses, and those things are fucking brain hemorrhage inducing. They are so sort of full on flashing image, big noises stuff that you're like, oh, for fuck's sake. So being the grumpy old git that I am, that did not settle very well with me at all. That started getting right on my fucking nerves.
Yeah.
And as I said, the end, it's such a fucking long time in coming that you're like, come on, can you just fucking end it now? It just did. It was full on Return of the King. Like, can we end now? Is that it? Can we
like the epilogue, everlasting epilogues.
Yeah, it was just like, can we just fucking walk away from this movie now? No, oh, for fuck's sake. So, it's. I did have fun. There was some genuinely laugh out loud jokes, which so it's not a disaster, but it is too long, and it really needed to sort the end out. It needed to have a much more concise and better written ending.
Oh, that's a shame.
I mean, the overall ending, when you eventually get to it, it's satisfying. It does what it's expected to do, but it's not doing anything outrageous or anything completely new. It is just like a sort of I guess a cheap Pixar movie.
Yeah,
it kind of feels like that. It feels like somebody wrote a Pixar movie that wasn't as good and isn't as well written.
Well, funny enough, you were saying you don't like the animation style, and it does look like someone trying to do Pixar.
Yeah,
it's got that kind of like Incredibles-esque look, but very cheaply done. If that makes sense.
Yeah, completely.
Yeah.
So I mean, I think I would kind of recommend it to kids. I think kids would kind of enjoy it for the most part. But for me, it was a very hit and miss, and I was very glad when it was over.
Fair enough. so there's some good in there. Maybe if you want to keep your kids entertained for a couple of hours, it's.
I mean, if they can keep with it for that long.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's true.
Because I imagine some kids might fucking lose their way.
Yeah,
sort of halfway through. And the voice acting was good enough. Olivia Colman's just being Olivia Colman.
She's always great, yeah.
So that's the thing. And Danny McBride was actually quite good as the dad, and everything. So the voice acting wasn't bad. The voice acting was pretty good for the most part. But overall, I'm not sure I could recommend it full-heartedly. But it's good enough, I suppose.
Yeah,
you could say.
Yeah. Fair enough. Well, that's a bit of a shame, but yeah, I did see the trailer. I thought the trailer looked okay, so there was that. So I have seen Wrath of Man, which is not out over here for a couple of months, but VPNs and all that stuff. So it is directed by Guy Ritchie.
Yes, I'm just looking this up. Yes. This is the one with Jason Statham.
It is, yes. Jason Statham back with Guy Ritchie again for
the third
time or so.
Yeah,
frequent collaborators. And I think his next movie's with Statham as well. I think he's certainly back on board with with Statham. It's based on Cash Truck, which I've never seen.
Right.
But effectively, it stars Jason Statham being very Jason Statham-y. Although I would say this is probably the darkest one of the darkest characters he's ever played.
Okay.
So he plays Patrick Hill, and he starts a job at a security firm. This is the start of the movie. We see that we actually start the movie with a with a heist, and a couple of security guys get killed, and Patrick Hill is basically taking one of those jobs, one of the dead people. And they even warn him in the job interview. He has a job interview, and they're like, well, you seem to have a good history in different firms, and you seem up to scratch, assuming you can pass the physical and all of that kind of stuff. But I will warn you, we did have a couple of deaths recently, and Patrick's just like, whatever, it's just a job, I'll do it. And he joins this kind of real sort of macho team of security guys. It's a very, real sort of, men's room vibe about it all. They've got characters, they call him H, and he's got like his partners called Bullet, and they've all got real sort of masculine, testosterone-fueled nicknames and whatnot. They go on he starts his job, obviously, he's very quiet, doesn't say very much to anyone, but basically, while out with Bullet one day, there's a heist on his van, and it's in the trailer, so I don't think this is much of a spoiler, but he basically just kills all of them, very quickly, doesn't miss a shot, just takes them out. And the movie kind of goes from there. And at first I thought, this is fine. It's a Jason Statham action movie. Cool. It takes a while to get to that point. But, it was like, okay, it's going to be a straightforward Jason Statham's killing people movie with a very two-dimensional character. But then in kind of Guy Ritchie fashion, the movie goes back in time, shows us why Statham's character is doing what he's doing. Also then shows the other side and shows us this heist group, these ex-military vets that are basically hard on cash, and they're going to start pulling off heists.
Right.
And we get to spend time with their team, and we see what they're about and what they're trying to do. And Scott Eastwood is one of the crew, and it's great to see Scott Eastwood in this movie because he's not playing the pretty boy, which he's kind of done a lot of. He's like quite a damaged, horrendous individual in this movie.
I honestly don't think most people know what to do with him.
He's great. He really is.
He's been in so many movies where I don't think anybody knows how to sort of to give him a character.
Well, this is against type. From what I've seen him in,
I'm glad.
Yeah, he's like a scarred war veteran, and he's a real piece of shit. to be honest, which is kind of against type from what I've seen of his characters before. So, that's good, and it was interesting to spend time with these people and kind of see that side of things. And obviously, I don't want to go into spoilers because obviously I watched this on VPN, and it's in America at the moment. It's not over here yet, so I won't go into spoilers. And maybe if you end up seeing it, we can do a spoilery one later. But I thought this was a really strong movie. It's got certainly when the action happens, it's brutal. It's some really well directed action, but it's much.
Well, that's good.
It's not
you'd hope for that for a Ritchie movie, to be honest.
Yeah, absolutely. But there's also a plot here, and there's also a story going on, and a few surprises. And it's not like a straight up silly action movie. There is some story going on, and there's some depth to it. I think a lot of people will probably just pass it by, thinking it's just an action movie. But if you watch it, while there is action, there's also a pretty good story at the heart of it, and I really enjoyed seeing the two sides of the story, kind of thing. It was cool, and obviously we get to discover Patrick's motives and the reason why he's doing what he's doing. But I won't go into any of that. Really, really cool. I really enjoyed it. It was a nice palate cleanser after Army of the Dead. Although this movie is over 2 hours long as well, so it was a long night last night between Army of the Dead and this one. But very much enjoyed it. And obviously, if you want to get a VPN, you can watch it, or wait until I think it's July over here. It'll be coming out. So highly recommended.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah. So, what else have you watched?
So let's go with the second season of Love, Death and Robots.
Sure. So I still haven't seen season 1.
Oh, have you not? Oh,
no.
Well. Let's explain what Love, Death and Robots is. A Netflix series that is literally every episode is a different story.
Yeah.
And they're all different animation styles. They're all different sort of, cultures. There are different.
It's kind of got that Animatrix vibe about it, hasn't it?
It's really there's a lot of that sort of stuff. It feels like it feels like a sort of. Did you ever watch Liquid Television?
Yes.
Went on MTV years ago when it's got that sort of feel to it. It's like lots of little weird sort of like Aeon Flux things and stuff like that. It's got lots of little weird and some of them are obviously better than others. In the first season, there are some genuine absolute howlers. There's one called 3 Robots, which my wife absolutely adores. We've watched that particular one about 10 times. It's literally just these 3 robots on Earth as tourists.
Right.
Basically, at some point, the apocalypse has happened, and it's just these 3 robots going around going, wow, what did humans do with this? Look at this. Right. This is amazing.
So it's like the best part of WALL-E.
Yes.
But just for the whole episode.
And it's, none of the episodes are terribly long. They're all quite short. And there's episodes like that, and then there are episodes that are like really sort of surreal and bizarre. There's a particularly great one which I liked, which is about a sort of a robot sort of that is, it's almost like this perfection, and you see that he's evolved from something, and throughout the story it tells you what's happened to him and what he's planning on doing at the end, and it's really, really interesting little sort of like almost. It's like some of them are like stories from heavy metal. There's lots of that sort of stuff, and there are there are some ones that are sort of just full on sci-fi ones, which are not quite as interesting. But there's some genuinely great ones.
Yeah. So
the second season came out last month, I think now, a couple of weeks ago, sort of thing. And it's a lot shorter. The first season was like 18 episodes, and this season's only 7. No,
right.
8.
Okay.
And again, there are some absolutely brilliant episodes. There's one called Ice, which at the beginning I thought, I'm not enjoying this at all, and then it slowly sort of gets to where it's going, and there's a beautiful ending to that episode. Really, really great. I really loved that episode. The first episode, the automated customer is quite funny, but not sure. The animation style is hideous, but
oh no,
that it's fine. It's what you get. There's a weird one with a guy on a train, who the train pulls up at this certain stop. It's called Tall Grass,
right?
And it pulls up at this certain stop, and the engineer gets down and says, just stay there, don't go anywhere, don't wander off. This happens sort of all the time. It's fine. And he obviously doesn't stay put. He wanders off into the tall grass, and weird shit happens, obviously. And there's some stuff with like real sort of full on CG animation with oh god, what's his name? We were talking about him the other week. The Creed guy,
Michael B. Jordan.
Michael B. Jordan, thank you. There's the story with him about he's sort of a pilot that gets downed, and he ends up in this sort of like safety this safety dome sort of thing, this safety thing with this malfunctioning robot. Honestly, it's really good. I really, really liked it. but it's nowhere near as good as the first season.
Well, that's a shame.
The first season I would recommend to anybody. The stories in there are fantastic. There's a great, and there's this great one with this mechanical fox spirit from Japanese legend and things.
Okay.
There's some great. The first season I would say. I would say watch them all because they are all good. But the first season is so much better than the second season. I was slightly disappointed in the second season, and it was sort of because there's only sort of 8 episodes. It's like, where's the bloody rest?
Yeah, that's a shame.
It was genuinely a bit of a disappointment that it was only it felt like half a season. I don't know whether they're going to continue, and whether that's it. But
I mean, it could just be that the pandemic led to them having less.
It could well be,
especially with a series that I gather is like an anthology. It doesn't require. There's no overarching story to need more episodes. So I guess they probably felt like, well, we can get 8 episodes done properly and just release those rather than, struggling to get.
Yeah, well, there's the end one, the drowned giant, is a particularly weird and beautiful one about. Basically, it's about a scientist who's asked to go and see this. Literally, a massive naked giant has just washed up on the coast, and it's dead. It's dead. It's just a great big Gulliver, just a great big naked Gulliver that's dead, and it's the sort of the weird attitude of people. How quickly it becomes nothing.
Yeah,
and I think it's a J.G. Ballard story. So it's again, I would say, just watch them. They're great. They're really, really great. But the second season is slightly disappointed compared to the first one.
Oh well, that's
but there's some genuinely unique stories and animation in these in the particularly the first season that I would highly recommend it to anybody.
Right. Yeah. Well, I will certainly watch it. It's been on my list to watch the first season forever. Just one of those things I never got around to.
Yeah.
But yeah, why? So, Love, Death and Robots, season 2. So I haven't really watched anything else. I mean, I did. I've finished the latest half of Lucifer. I think it was Lucifer season 5, part 2.
Oh, I haven't got. I'm way behind on that because I got very annoyed with the season after the mother. That started getting so silly.
Oh yeah, it's they've gone. Certainly in this season as well, they've gone full on angels and demons. It's got obviously the detectives in it, and there's that central relationship still going on, and there's still crimes that they're looking at. But it's very much. I mean, this season, God is on Earth, living with Lucifer. Michael's on Earth. You've got effectively the kind of end of this season. It's been renewed for another season now, and I'm not quite sure what they're going to do with that. But the end of this season is basically God is going to retire. So it's about it's about either one of them needs to now become the next god, one of the angels. Lucifer wants to do it for selfish reasons, and then later unselfish reasons. Michael wants to do it for selfish reasons. It is fun. I mean, I've enjoyed the series. For me, it's like Buffy. It's just very watchable and very put on in the backgroundable. I don't need to think too much when I'm watching it. It's just on. But it's been fun. I really enjoyed certainly the climax of the season. I thought was great. I really like the way it's starting to wrap itself up, and I hope they don't ruin it with season 6, because it felt like they probably could have done like one more episode and wrapped the whole thing up really nicely. But now we've got a whole new season, so that worries me a little. But I'm hoping that it'll come together.
It's very in danger of becoming supernatural.
That's my biggest fear, because I don't think it's any exaggeration to say I absolutely adored Supernatural up to the end of season 5.
We've said a number of times.
Yeah,
that series should have definitely ended after.
God, 5. I think it's season 5.
Yeah, season 5,
and it's got fucking
because they were
worse
done.
and worse.
They told the story. They didn't need to do anymore.
Yeah. Well, it ended. The story with Michael ended, didn't it? It was the Lucifer Michael thing ended. We had the sacrifice at the end, and that should have been it. Mm-hmm. Should have been it. Sam living his no, not Sam. Sorry, it was Dean living his happy life, and Sam had sacrificed himself. And you've got that wonderful story of the car that they did towards the end, where they're talking about how they rebuilt the car and they put every little bit back in, and that's what reminds Sam of his humanity long enough to sacrifice himself, and all of that is wonderful. And then they completely fucking undid it, and just and that's when the it's like a meme now of like the Winchesters never dying. Like at the end of I mean, I've not watched it, but I gather at the end I think Dean dies, but it's like, well, it's kind of lost its impact when Dean's died like fucking 50 times already and come back.
Yeah.
You know, I'm sure they'll be like, well, he's not coming back this time. It's like, yeah, well, fine, but it's still lost its, you know.
Yeah, there's no point with messing around with death if it's not permanent.
No, exactly. But yeah, they really had something there, and I really hope that Lucifer doesn't go that way, because it really could now. I think it's.
Yeah.
I'm hoping they at least say, right, the next season is definitely the last season. Then I'd be like, okay, that's fine. How much damage can you possibly do in one season? So, you know, one more season maybe.
You'd be surprised.
But well, no, they could. But let's hope not. It's enjoyable. It's certainly run its course. That's for sure. Yeah. I think it had by about season 3. But I think they've managed to keep my interest purely because I quite like a lot of the characters, and I think that they have escalated it enough to where it stayed interesting. Like, it's much more about the angels and demons and God and stuff now.
Yeah.
Which is kind of fun alongside the detective stuff as well.
I mean, it's for me, they did quite a good job of doing something with, from, you know.
I mean, it's not Lucifer at all.
That's the thing. I absolutely adore the Lucifer stories.
Yes,
and I love,
it's not that.
I love I love the Sandman. I love it, but it's not that thing. It's kind of taken the main premise and it kind of did its own thing. But I think the leads were charming enough to pull it off.
Definitely.
And for the most part, the early writing was funny enough and good enough that it was kind of its own thing, and it had its own little you know, furl to plough.
Yes.
It went for me. When the mother turned up, that was a good season. I like that season. That she I've forgotten what her name is.
Caprica 6.
Caprica 6. I know. Caprica 6. Yeah.
Oh god, that's annoying. I can't think of her name either. But yes.
She was. I really liked what they did with her character,
yes,
and I liked
great.
how they ended it, and it did almost feel like, okay, you could probably end it there.
Yeah,
you could.
Yeah,
you know. And then when they came back, and now I'm going to forget his fucking name. The guy who was the Smallville Superman kiddie.
Yeah.
When he was, it started getting so silly and just not fun for me that I thought, okay, I think I'm done. I think I'm going to walk away. But you kept saying, you know, they did get better.
Yeah, so I thought it did. I mean, the thing is, I think it's worth bearing in mind that for me, like I said, this is like, and I mean that's probably unfair because I really like Buffy. I love Buffy.
That's fantastic.
But I say it in that way that it's like, in the same way I found The Flash to begin with, the first couple of seasons of The Flash.
Oh, the first seasons of The Flash are great.
It's something I can put on, and I don't really need to think about it. It's just a bit of fun. I don't need to concentrate too much. It's a nice, unwinding, easy thing to put on after a day of work. That's what I like about it. So I'm not coming at it like this is a fucking masterpiece or anything. It's just very entertaining. But I do think they've kept me, you know, entertained, and I think I'm curious to see what they do with another season. It does feel like this should have been the end, though. It almost feels like a last-minute decision where they were like, we could do another season. Like, because we've kind of written the end. I mean, it pretty much has the end there. You'd need, like, one more scene, really. Maybe an episode for an epilogue, but it's done. And now I'm like, so what are you going to do now? To just almost feels like you're just padding it out now for another season. But we'll see. Maybe there's a plan. Yeah. Who knows? But yeah, okay. So I recommend it if you like Lucifer. Like I said, it's not for everyone.
Okay,
is it?
Well, I don't know. Maybe I will go back to it.
Have you watched it since Netflix got it back? Got it?
No, I haven't.
Okay.
No. I mean, did the production values change or anything?
No. I mean, Netflix have got more. Well, they haven't got more money than Amazon, but they have got a lot of money, so it's not. It's same quality, same actors. I
didn't think anything would really change.
It's really it's exactly the same. I mean, you couldn't tell that it's changed studios. It's identical, which was nice actually. It was a seamless transition between those two studios. But so I recommend it if you like that kind of thing.
I wish that went the same way with Netflix. I wish some of the series that they bloody cancelled went on to.
I think I think Netflix are terrified that a property they give up becomes huge.
Yeah, they
somewhere else. They won't do it because I think the OA.
That's the killer. The
Santa Clarita Diet. Which I
really
haven't
like that.
I haven't watched much of it. My fiance loved that show so much, and I tell you what, I watched about 4 episodes of it with my fiance, and I said I'm going to stop because I'm really enjoying this, and it's going to really annoy me that it ends. I don't want to get addicted to something that just ends.
They do end it at least. It did sort of feel like it had an end, but
I think the OA was
so easily have had continued it a bit longer.
I think the OA was the one that burnt me the most. And possibly and Glow I think was a big one. If they don't give Glow a movie or something to finish,
they really need to get a movie.
Well, that's all they've asked for now, isn't it? All of the cast have just said, "Look, just give us a movie just to end it."
I mean, the most fucking damning thing about that bloody thing was that they were already filming it.
Yeah,
they were already doing.
You might as well have let them finish production. Come on.
Yeah, I mean, they could have at least just let them finish a couple of episodes. Just have a shorter season. Just somewhat to finish it off would have been so nice.
Definitely. So I believe you've got one more movie.
I do. So I watched Oxygen.
Oxygen.
Which is on Netflix. It is a French movie.
Awesome.
Directed by Alexandra Aja.
Okay.
Who has previously did Switchblade Romance, which is fucking awesome.
Yes, cool.
He did the remake of The Hills Have Eyes, which I actually think is a really good movie.
It is. Funny enough, my best friend loves that movie, and I was like, oh god, a remake of Hills Have Eyes, I just can't be doing with that. And she was like, no, it's really good. Watch it.
Good.
It's a really good remake.
So
solid remake.
Genuinely horrific moments. That he pulled a blinder with that.
He really
remake,
did. I was so surprised at how good that was.
Yeah. He also did the Piranha 3D, which I haven't seen.
Well, I can imagine that'll be fun if nothing else. I wanted to watch Crawl. Crawl looked fun.
Yeah.
I haven't seen it.
I still have not seen Crawl. And he did Horns as well, which I actually quite enjoyed. It's a bit different to the book, but it's okay. And Mirrors. So he's actually he's got a pretty good track record, to be honest.
Yeah.
So it stars Melanie Laurent and Mathieu Amalrac. So this is Melanie Laurent plays this character who wakes up in a pod. She's in this sort of in this cowl, this full-on sort of medical cowl, and her ripping out of this girl is so visceral.
Right.
It's almost, she's tearing her way through this sort of this gauze, as it were, and it almost feels like she's ripping flesh. It's horrible. It's really, really well done.
Right.
And she has no memory of how she got in there. She does not know who she is.
Oh, okay.
And she's fully wired up to this pod. She discovers that there's this medical computer called Milo, who was like will answer any questions, and she discovers that the oxygen has been damaged, and she's down to I can't remember how much it was of it initially. It's something like 40%, I'm gonna say. So she's down to 40% oxygen, and she's in danger of dying.
Sure.
But she, as I said, she doesn't know who she is. She doesn't know how the hell she got into this cryopod is basically what it is. But something's happened, and she's awake, and she doesn't know quite what to do. So she starts talking to this Milo, this computer, and through Milo, she makes phone calls to the authorities, and she's saying, "Look, I'm in this pod." And first, obviously, they don't believe her. And she says, they say, well, we'll find where you are. We'll get you to what's going on. And the pod won't open. She needs a code to open the pod,
right?
Which obviously she doesn't know. But she keeps having these visions of a woman and somebody who could possibly be her husband,
right?
But she also keeps having visions of dying people and some kind of disease and rats. There's a thing about rats that she keeps seeing, and through a series of tests she discovers who she is and what's going on. And I am not going to spoil this fucking movie.
No. Cool.
I am not going to spoil this movie. This movie is really, really good. It's not original.
Sure.
I will say there were definite stories similar to this I've read and seen before. But what I will say, it's bloody well done. It's really good, and for as I said, for the majority, it's a complete one-hander. It's almost all just Melanie Laurent in almost close up as she freaks out or as she tries to figure out a way of getting help or to find out what's going on. And through phone calls that she makes, how the story unfolds. It is really enjoyable. It is really, really well done, and I was really bloody impressed. The music is fantastic. The music is really, really good. It's got genuine suspense, and it completely keeps you with her and wanting to know what's going on and what how it is she bloody got there and why she can't remember what the hell happened to her. I cannot praise this movie enough. I think this is a great sci-fi movie. It's really good. It's really suspenseful, and as I said, as a one-hander, Melanie Laurent is absolutely superb. She is really, really great as this completely trapped. But have you seen Buried Alive with Ryan Reynolds?
Yes, I was just thinking.
It's got that sort of feel to it. It's a real sort of, she can communicate outside, but they have no idea where she is, or she has no idea where she is. The fact that she doesn't even know who she is, it doesn't help. It's really, really good. I really enjoy it. I highly recommend it. And I would like if like you said about the other one, the other film. When you get to see this, I'd like to discuss this later because this is.
I'll watch it this week. We could discuss it the next time we swing back around to our reviews.
Yeah, that would be great.
Yeah, sounds good to me.
I think this is a really nice little sci-fi movie.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I will give that a watch. But yeah, I think that's about it for us. Anything else you want to cover?
A couple of little bits and pieces. Looks like Henry Cavill is going to be doing a Highlander remake.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, to be honest, Highlander is fucking terminally fucked. So if you're gonna do anything with it, you do need to remake it. That's the only way you're gonna fix that. So fine, and Henry Cavill's great.
Yes.
So
they've at least chosen someone I would genuinely want to see in it.
Yes.
You know, so they've at least done that.
Mm.
Do I want to see a Highlander remake?
Not really.
No,
I don't.
You know, I wish they would just leave it alone. But
yes, I agree.
That's just, it is what it is, and I guess just we can hope for the best, I suppose.
Mm. Well, that's all we can do, isn't it? Really. But I do. Yeah, I mean, I'll certainly watch it, and Highlander is one of my favourite films of all time. I love the first Highlander.
We covered.
We did do it, didn't we?
We
did
early.
cover
Yeah, we did.
For that reason,
we covered Highlander. So you know, we both absolutely adore it. So
yeah.
It's going to be hard to sort of to see how they're going to improve on it because they can't.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that'll be interesting.
You know. We should mention Charles Grodin, who died aged 86, who was a great actor. Midnight Run was such a great movie. I absolutely loved that film.
Yeah.
You know, he was even in things like those awful Beethoven movies. He was great in them.
Yeah.
So yeah, great actor. Joe Cornish and John Boyega looks like they've both agreed to do Attack the Block 2.
Oh, cool.
Which makes me incredibly happy.
Yeah.
It's really depressing to think that movie is now 10 years old.
I know, right?
It's like, where the fuck did that go? So I'm really hopeful for that because, you know, the fact that Boyega's coming back and the fact that Cornish is going to do it again, I'm so happy to see a sequel to that because I think, you know, that actually deserves a sequel. There's a lot you could do with that because we don't know much about the aliens at all. We don't know anything where they really came from, what they were doing. So I think it'd be fun to see what's going to happen with that.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's kind of it. Other than Amazon buying MGM.
Yeah, that's well, not surprising. I think this is the way they're all going now. They're all just going to buy each other until they can compete. I mean, Netflix, I guess as soon as Disney started, you know, with Fox and stuff, it was only a matter of time before Netflix and Amazon start trying to gobble up whatever they can.
And Amazon's just acquired some fucking huge properties there. I mean, they've just acquired no, Amazon.
Have Amazon got MGM?
Yes.
Oh, I thought it was Netflix. Obviously MGM. Yeah, like you said, they've got Bond, they've got Rocky, they've got. There's some of the. I mean, the thing is, MGM have not produced an awful lot of great stuff in like the last sort of decade, I guess. Although I mean, Wrath of Man is MGM, but they've done some stuff. But their back catalogue, good lord,
HBO stuff as well. It'll be all that, won't it? So,
but their back catalogue is incredible. They've got some absolutely classic films,
and that's kind of what these companies want. They all want the IP.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, that's a big.
I mean, it's going to be interesting to see what they do. I mean, I'm already not looking forward to a lot of the Disney stuff. I'm dreading the Alien stuff that they're going to do.
Yeah, can they ruin it any more than it's already ruined at this point?
I mean
they certainly can't. They certainly can't ruin Predator any more than Predator's been ruined. So they're welcome to it.
No.
I get your point. It's. I mean, to be honest, for me, Aliens after Blomkamp didn't get his chance, I'm like, oh, it's done now. Yeah. But yeah, I do fear for the future of those Fox properties. I must admit, under Disney. But we'll see. We'll see. I see that Donnie Yen's been cast in John Wick 4.
That was the next one. Donnie Yen is going to be in the next John Wick movie, which I am completely on board for.
I'm always on board for Donnie Yen turning up in things. So
as long as they treat him right, I'm going to be happy.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because he's got a terrible, you know, he's one of those actors that's been so fucked over by American movies.
Yeah, he really has.
That if you know. I think they'll do pretty good with him because they've done pretty well so far with the guests they've had. You know, oh god, the last one. Oh, for fuck's sake!
Sorry, guess in the movies.
The last John Wick one.
Mark Dacascos was.
Mark, thank you.
Yeah.
Mark Dacascos was
who another guy who doesn't get enough work.
Exactly. He was genuinely well treated in John Wick 3.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I'm more than happy that they will do the right thing with Donnie Yen.
Yeah, I would imagine so. Apparently he's going to be playing an old friend of John Wick's.
Yes.
But of course, in this universe, that does not mean that they're going to to get on now or not trying to kill each other. So it's going to be fun.
Considering we're in a world where everybody is an assassin.
Oh yeah. Sumo wrestlers, cleaners, everyone. I
mean, those movies are ridiculous, but I absolutely adore them.
I think by the second movie, you either go with it or you don't.
Yeah, completely.
There's a point in 2 where I think it's when the phone call goes out, the hit goes out.
Yeah.
You either are with it at that point, or you're like, this is so ridiculous, I can't get on board. If you accept that this universe is basically just full of assassins everywhere, that's basically the movie. It's great.
Yeah.
It's great. I love it. So yeah, I'm excited. And like you said, Donnie Yen is never a bad thing. So
no, absolutely not. So yeah, I think that's pretty much it.
That is us for this week. We will be back next week with a movie. Don't know what it's going to be yet, unless you've got any thoughts, Matt.
I was thinking Manhunter.
Yes, we did say we do Manhunter. Let's do that.